how it looks like, how you eat at the moment, your higher or vegan diet.
Yeah, so basically, I like to eat large portions, right? So some of my staple foods are, bananas, watermelons, bananas, melons, mangoes, grapes, variety of different berries, kiwis, citrus fruits like tangerines, grapefruit, etc. Right? So eating several pounds of fruit a day, right? So upwards of a minimum of 4 pounds of fruit a day to upwards of 10, even, right? Very carbohydrate dominant diet. And then, of course, we have in nuts and seeds, which is another big part of it, right? And those also contain the majority of my dietary fats, omega-3, essential fatty acids, zinc, right? Things like that. So hemp seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds, pumpkin seed kernels, sunflower seed kernels, cashews, almonds, pistachios, right? Things like that. And then the leafy greens, right? The spring mix, the watercress, the arugula, kale, right? Things of this nature. Swiss chard, romaine lettuce. As far as cooked foods, we've got things like sweet potato and lentils primarily, chickpeas, some black beans, things like that. But I don't eat a whole lot of cooked foods. Right. I eat cooked foods maybe a couple times a week, 2, 3 times a week, and that would mainly be legumes, like lentils, right? Whole grains are phenomenal, right? When you think of whole grains, people think of things like oats, quinoa. Um, my top two mainly are kasha, which is roasted buckwheat, and then rolled oats, old-fashioned rolled oats, right? So I don't cook those, right? I primarily just soak them overnight and then make like a breakfast porridge with them, right? So throw them in the blender with a variety of other things, cacao powder, maybe some maple syrup, cinnamon, sea salt, that kind of thing. Make it nice and creamy, pureed in the blender. That's a good makes for a good breakfast.
Mm.
Right? So there's a lot of different recipes and things like that that I use in my diet.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, and yeah, I eat very similarly to you actually, and that's why I'm also really interested to have you on this and on this topic. Okay, let's get into protein. I feel like that's because you're into fitness, you look like well muscular, and a lot of people think, well, to get that kind of muscle, you need a lot of protein. But the diet you just shared would be, I don't know, I would estimate it's like maybe 10-15% protein probably of your calories, right?
Yeah, somewhere in
Mm.
between there. So typically, my protein intake is more along the lines of probably like 12%, 12, 16%, somewhere around there,
Okay,
right?
so I'll ask
Depending
you,
on the day.
Remson, how do you achieve such a physique with a low intake of proteins?
Yeah, so basically, I don't know. So it depends on how you qualify a low protein diet, right? So when people talk about low protein, it depends on how they quantify it. So for example, if I'm eating 100 grams of protein a day, that's not really considered a low protein diet, right? Even though, um, you know, I'm only eating maybe 12 to 16% protein in my diet, but I eat a lot of food. So typically what I would do is I would eat, let's say, protein to carbohydrates at either a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 ratio. So which means if you're eating protein to carbs at a 3-to-1 ratio, that would be for every 100 grams of protein, you're eating 300 grams of carbs, or a 4-to-1 would be for every 100 grams of protein is 400 grams of carbs, right? Um, so basically, I got this fly buzzing around in here. So basically, um, if you're trying to build muscle mass, the thing that the primary driver, the most important macro in your diet, as far as the amount for building muscle mass, is going to be carbohydrates.